Nadav, thank you for joining me here today. And so we're going to talk today about the personalization in iGaming industry, right? We're going to definitely touch your latest research dedicated to iGaming industry as well. But before all that, can you give us a brief introduction to dynamic yields?
Yeah, sure. So, first of all, it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you so much for this interview. What basically dynamic yield, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the Amazon experience to each and every site, either e-commerce or gaming. Today, personalization is a given thing, right? Everywhere you go, you see personalization. When you open your Netflix is different than mine, your Amazon is different than mine. And these companies are not. I didn't name them by accident. These companies are the tip of the technology in terms of personalization. We are trying to give our clients the same experiences on their site. Naturally, today, gaming, like online gaming, is not detached from the online industry in general, and players today, really expect to get the same personalized experiences as they get on their casino or on the betting platform as they are getting on Amazon and they are getting on Netflix. If they are into, let's say, football betting, they shouldn't see above the fold the next tennis game. Or if they are usually a casino slot lover, they shouldn't see blackjack or poker on top of the fold, etc., etc. So this is basically what we're coming to solve. We're coming to help both the user to keep the data and the content more relevant for him on the one hand, and on the other hand, we're coming to help the operator to give their all users better experiences, and in turn increase the conversion rates, LTVs, CTR, etc., etc.
But without talking about the gaming industry, what are the main barriers, based on your experience, main barriers stopping companies embracing the true personalization?
So it's funny when you're talking about the gaming specifically. The gaming industry specifically has a paradox because it's, on the one hand, on the user acquisition side, it is, I think, the most sophisticated industry online today. A lot of resources and a lot of technology are being invested in user acquisition, but the industry are getting investing a lot of resources in this side of the funnel. And once the user comes into the site, he sees the exact same site from like in every other channel. So this is the paradox in it. Now, I think barriers, I think it's more mental barrier, not actually a real barrier. For gaming specifically, the regulation is very, very strict today. And when you think about regulation and personalization, it gives you a discomfort because you say, okay, so the regulator must stop if let's say, convey different messages to high rollers or abandoning users or users that would actually be encouraged by my messaging, my personal messaging, to bet more or to spend more in my game. And I would surely be in a mess with the regulator. The industry has been around for a very long time. It got used to doing things in a very specific way. And it's a learning process. If you're talking about e-commerce, so e-commerce has that if they don't personalize, they won't make money. But gaming, if they won't personalize, they will just make money, just less money. So it's not as painful for them, and they don't really need to do this change in terms of they have to do this change in terms of revenue, like to see the green instead of the red. But now I think it's getting more, since the regulator is very, very strict today. The players are much more sophisticated today, and the competition is very, very strict. You have to keep your edge, and now I think it's the right time for the industry to go head on personalization.
Yeah, definitely, because the iGaming industry faces many challenges. right? The heavily regulated concerns over personalization, as you already said, So there definitely is some kind of the friction between the personalization and the endless compliance requirements. Especially, it gets confusing when different requirements are across different iGaming jurisdictions, right? Because the operators are operating in different jurisdictions. So yeah, I believe that there it gets really tricky when it gets to the personalization with the gaming industry, right? But based on your experience, can you tell us like most interesting use cases in the iGaming industry?
Well, it really goes back to how willing is the operator to invest in it, and we always say to our clients, if you are really willing to be to get the edge on the personalization, you have to have a state of mind of personalization. And some of our clients today that have this state of mind are seeing some amazing results even from the smallest things. Like if you are, let's say, changing the bet amount in the on the cashier in the casino for specific audiences. If you have personalized, even personalizing the menu above the fold, if you have the menu for, let's say, casino, slots, roulette, whatever in the upper bar, if you change that around according to the specific users that come along, very small changes in for the eye, but very big changes in terms of revenue and time on site, which in turn actually translates to a lot of money. So just to name a few use cases, I mentioned the amounts on the cashier, the reordering of the upper bar, the personalized exit intent notification that we have. All of these, and of course our landing page builder, which is doing an amazing job in terms of the acquisitions. So the three use cases that I mentioned are changing the amounts on the cashier bar, which is showing a lot of success and double digits in terms of growth. We are seeing, even for the smallest changes, as I mentioned, the upper bar reorganization is showing amazing lifts because people are coming into the site already all of a sudden are being noticed as a person, and since they are doing that, they're seeing the site is being personalized for them. Automatically, they're being more engaged in the site. So we see the time on site is increasing. We see the CTR increasing. We see the conversion rates is increasing. So the use cases that we are looking at, and we are seeing some great value being delivered to our clients. For example, if we are changing the amounts on the cashier, if you're looking to bet, if you have a high roller audience, they would see higher amounts against like versus other audiences are seeing some other amounts. These is shown double digits in terms of growth and value. You would see even the smallest thing, like reordering the upper bar for specific audience to have the slots on this left side instead of roulette on the left side because he's a slot lover, and reorganizing the grid for them. This is another layer of my project, and I will get to that maybe later on. The recommendations hub, but even the personalization, the basic personalization that I mentioned, if done correctly, can show a lot of potential and growth to the site. Now, with dynamic yield system, basically what I think is, and this is a general advice for each and every one, test everything you do on your site. Everything should be A/B tested. The dynamic yield system is built in a way that when you're putting a variant online, and when you have some experience that you put on your site, it's automatically being tested. If you have another variant, it's being tested against a control group, with or without. And you can also do like various variants and actually test the performance on the specific side of things. Just keep aside the personalization side. Only by testing you will see growth. And if you're testing for specific segments of your audience, or you're testing again for a specific person, the different variant, the different experiences, you would must see. It's a must. You must see. There is always a winner, right, in a test. There's always a winner, always a loser, and then when you have tests ongoing, you would always find the better version. You would always find, and this is how you improve your site. And this is an out-of-the-box feature with us because we know that the importance of the A/B testing feature.
Great, it's very good advice actually. But I would like to touch one thing. I went through your research, and based on that, you say that the belief in personalization is high, but prioritization is like 50-50.
Hmm?
So can you explain what's the reasoning behind that?
Well, I think well, Dynamic Yield has been around from 2012. We've been
Yeah.
doing it for 7 years, and we've been doing it quite successfully, but we are not even close to fulfilling it, right? And we're doing only that. So that means actually, and the industry are not, the smart people in the industry, they know that if they want to do a good personalization solution in-house, it's going to take a lot of resources. And they have other prioritization for resources. That's of course a given thing, and this is why they don't do it. This is why I think because there's the internal tension all the time, especially in the iGaming industry, between doing things in house or outsource it, because it's a very suspicious. The people in this industry have a very
Paranoid, right?
and they don't want they don't easily share their information for
Yeah.
obvious reasons. They don't really are keen to get outside tools to their sites, and they can't really do it in-house because it takes a lot of resources. And this is I think why there is a awareness in the industry of the importance on the one hand, but not a lot of people are actually doing it on in reality.
Right, right. Talking about the future and that we are not so far yet there where we should be. Where do you see, your personal opinion, where do you see personalization in iGaming industry in the future? Like let's say next 10 years.
Well, first of all, in general, iGaming today is undergoing a lot of interesting processes. In Europe, it's a very mature market, and the regulator is very thick on the operators, and you see a lot of weddings, and people are being consolidated and being joined up to the bigger operators, mammoths. Um, you've been seeing it all over, like in the past year, I think I heard 6 or 7 merges, and I do believe we'll see more of that.
Yeah.
And when you have a bigger company with a lot of resources, I'm guessing that we would see the fine tuning of personalization, right? Because personalization can show you a lift of, let's say, between 5 and 20% when done right. So I'm guessing that the bigger organizations will definitely find this potential and hook it up. But the other thing is the US, and the US is opening right now. And the American market as a market is much more aware on personalization, right? I mentioned Netflix and Amazon. These companies are American based, very American by culture. The American people and players are expecting out of the box personalization. And if they don't get it, they would leave because they are very strict. So I'm guessing the American market would be a very good steam train to actually get there make the personalization much more coherent in the US. And wherever America goes, Europe goes, right?
They're setting trends, right? Especially
Yeah,
when it comes to, especially when it comes to your business, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. But maybe in the end, we could give to the companies some advices or the especially, you touched even the fact that the iGaming experience usually involves the mix of involves the mix of the different platforms and the providers. What makes even more difficult and confusing for the companies to get help and to trust to trust you to be given the data, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we can, make it straight for the people and say some recommendations, because I believe that this is actually where is the struggle for the companies. It gets very confusing because there's a lot of part which needs to be put together, right?
Yeah. 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 So, first of all, in terms of trustworthiness and et cetera, just a side note about dynamic yield in this specific side. Well, we have been. I'm not sure that if you're aware. Back in March, we got acquired by McDonald's, and basically,
Ah, okay.
dynamic yield is a part of the McDonald's family today.
Oh, very cool. Congratulations.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. It has been, we're doing personalization for them as well, for the drive-through, and it's working amazingly so far. That's why actually we got acquired by them. So we are trusted by big companies in a way that will become like a part of the families, and that's other things. And I think that the iGaming industry should in general should know that uh, outsourcing, getting outside expertise is the next step of evolution for them, because you can't be an expert on both user acquisition, operating a casino, operating a bookie, and doing personalization all at the same time. That being said, if you are looking to do some short-term changes on your site, even in-house, I would recommend, first of all, and this is a state of mind change. Uh, I think about 95% of the traffic on the site today is unregistered users, people that are not registered. Start paying attention to registered users. This would help your registration rate immensely. This would help you to increase your time on site immensely. This would help you even get your brand awareness up. So first of all, if I have like the first advice is start paying attention and noticing your unregistered users first. Second, I think, and as I mentioned, like in a briefly in the beginning, A/B test everything on your site. I think testing is a given thing today. There are a lot of great platforms out there that are doing testing. You can also do it in-house if you have the right resources. Everything that you test on your site would definitely bring you results. You would just know, you would be in the know, right? And if you are going into testing, don't test only one component against the other, like a version of the banner. Test funnels. Test the display ads that leads to the landing page that leads to this version of the registration form to this thank you page. Like all the way, test it all the way, and keep on testing everything. So this is, I think, is the second advice that I can give, and I think the third thing is to know and to recognize that there are expertise out there that you should harness and get into your system today, instead of doing everything in-house. I think it's a trade-off that would pay off for operators too.
Thank you, Nadav. Thank you. I think it was very insightful, and thank you very much for being here. And to be very honest with you, apart to having the interview, I mean it's from my personal experience. I work within the gaming industry for the last 7 years, and it's really true. The iGaming industry is still struggling with this stuff, and because of all the barriers we were talking about. But it's very interesting to see when it's gonna break down, and the companies will start to really understand, because there are massive amount of the website, right? There are massive amount of the website. It's very competitive environment, and it looks like there's only thing what the truly companies can do is the personalization, right? There's nothing left.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So thank you, Nada, for having me, right? And I wish you a nice day, right?